The world tells you that if you aren't sweating, you aren't trying. We are constantly bombarded with images of early morning runs, heavy weights, and the relentless pursuit of physical exhaustion. For many, these images are supposed to be inspiring, but for you, they might feel like a source of deep, quiet guilt. You look at a pair of running shoes and feel a weight in your chest, not a spark of motivation. You watch people talk about the runner's high and wonder if there is a part of your brain that is simply missing. You have likely called yourself lazy. You have probably been told that you lack discipline or that you are wasting your potential. You might even feel like an outsider in a society that has turned fitness into a modern religion. But what if the truth is much more complex? What if your resistance to sports isn't a flaw in your character, but a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering? What you are feeling right now is a precise biological signal, not a failure of will. It's a phenomenon rooted in how your specific brain calculates the value of every calorie you burn. Today, we are going to look past the labels of lazy or active and explore the hidden logic of the non-athletic mind. We will see how this behavior actually falls into 3 distinct psychological types, and why the third type, the one you might belong to, is actually a sign of a highly optimized survival strategy. Before we dive into the science, I need you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not a version 2 that failed to install. Your brain is performing exactly the task it was designed for. It is protecting you. It is conserving you. And by the end of this, you will realize that your lack of interest in the gym might actually be your brain's way of prioritizing a much more powerful form of energy. We begin our journey into the mind by looking at the first group of people who find themselves at odds with the world of sports. We often call them uncoordinated or perhaps a bit too sensitive, but in psychology, we recognize them as the sensory overwhelmed. For these individuals, the problem isn't the physical movement itself. It is the environment in which that movement happens. Imagine your brain as a radio receiver with the volume turned up to the maximum level. While some people can walk into a crowded gym and tune out the clanking of metal, the thumping bass of the music, and the smell of sweat, the sensory overwhelmed mind absorbs it all. Every bright light, every sudden shout from a coach, and even the feeling of restrictive athletic clothing acts as a form of sensory static. This leads to a state called sensory overload. When your nervous system is bombarded by too much information, it enters a state of high alert. Instead of feeling the endorphin rush that others talk about, your brain is busy processing a threat. It feels as though your personal space is being invaded, making the gym feel less like a place of self-improvement and more like a chaotic battleground. If you find yourself preferring a quiet walk in a forest or a solo yoga session in a dim room over a team sport, you aren't being difficult. You are simply honoring your brain's need for a lower stimulation environment so it can function without crashing. Then, we move deeper into the biological machinery of the second group, the efficiency seekers. This is where we look at the neurochemistry of motivation. Most of what we do is governed by a chemical called dopamine, which acts like a reward currency in our brain. In a typical athletic brain, the act of running or lifting weights triggers a significant release of this chemical, creating a sense of pleasure and accomplishment. However, for the efficiency seeker, the reward system is built differently. It is what we call a hypoactive reward system in the context of physical exertion. To this brain, performing a repetitive motion like running on a treadmill or lifting a heavy object and putting it back down feels logically hollow. The brain performs a silent cost-benefit analysis. It looks at the calories being burned, the physical strain on the heart, and the cortisol, the stress hormone, rising in the blood, and it asks one simple question: is this worth it? If there is no immediate goal, like fleeing from a predator or gathering food, the brain concludes that the energy expenditure is a waste. This isn't a lack of willpower. It is an ancient survival mechanism. Thousands of years ago, if you ran for no reason, you might not have enough energy left when a real emergency occurred. For the efficiency seeker, dopamine isn't triggered by sweat. It's triggered by logic, problem-solving, or creating something tangible. You might find it impossible to stay on a bike for 30 minutes, yet you can spend 10 hours focused on a complex project or a book without feeling tired. Your brain isn't lazy. It is highly selective. It refuses to spend its precious currency on anything it deems pointless movement. It is waiting for a goal that actually matters. Now we arrive at the third type, perhaps the most misunderstood of all, yet arguably the most vital to the progress of our species. We call this group the energy strategists. If you belong to this group, your lack of interest in sports isn't just a preference, it is a sophisticated evolutionary trade-off. To understand this, we have to look at the most expensive organ in your body, your brain. Despite making up only 2% of your body weight, your brain consumes 20% of your daily energy. It is a high-performance engine that requires a constant, massive supply of glucose and oxygen. The energy strategist is an individual whose brain is wired to operate at a much higher cognitive frequency than the average person. You are likely someone who processes information deeply, notices patterns that others miss, and spends a significant amount of time in internal reflection. Because your mental hardware is so demanding, your body has developed a strict policy of energy conservation for your physical hardware. In biological terms, this is a masterpiece of optimization. You aren't avoiding the gym because you are weak. You are avoiding it because your brain is a power-hungry supercomputer that has claimed all the available resources for itself. Think back to our ancestors. A tribe composed only of high-energy hunters would struggle to survive if they didn't also have the strategists, the ones who sat quietly by the fire, observing the weather, planning the next season's migration, and inventing tools to make hunting easier. These individuals didn't need to be the fastest runners. They needed to be the deepest thinkers. Their laziness was actually a form of intense mental labor. They were the ones who realized that instead of chasing a deer for 10 miles, they could build a trap. They traded muscle for metaphor and physical exhaustion for innovative solutions. When you feel that intense resistance to a workout, it is often your subconscious mind protecting your cognitive capacity. It knows that if you spend your morning exhausting your body in a high-intensity interval training session, you might not have the mental clarity left to solve that complex problem at work or to engage deeply with your loved ones in the evening. You are living in low-power mode physically so that you can remain in high-performance mode intellectually. This is the ultimate twist. Your aversion to traditional sports is often a hidden sign of your potential. It suggests that you possess a mind that is built for depth, for strategy, and for long-term vision. You aren't a failed athlete. You are a specialized thinker. You belong to a lineage of creators, philosophers, and architects who understood that true power doesn't always come from the strength of one's limbs, but from the stillness of one's spirit and the sharpness of one's thoughts. You have been judging yourself for not being a doer, but it's time to realize that the world desperately needs the thinkers who know how to stay still. This is the final part of our journey, where the pieces of science and soul come together. Think of your body and mind as a high-end laptop. Most people look at a laptop in low power mode and think it is broken or slow. They see the dimmed screen and the reduced speed and assume something is wrong. But they are missing the point. The laptop isn't failing, it is being smart. It has detected that it only has a certain amount of battery left, and instead of wasting it on background apps or bright displays, it is funneling every last drop of electricity into the one document you are trying to finish. This is exactly what is happening in your brain through a mechanism called energy conservation bias. This is a deeply rooted survival instinct managed by your limbic system, the ancient part of your brain responsible for your basic drives. While your prefrontal cortex, the logical, modern part of your brain, might tell you that you should go to the gym because it's healthy, your limbic system is looking at your total energy reserves. If it senses that your life requires heavy mental lifting, deep emotional processing, or intense creative focus, it will send out a signal of lethargy to your limbs. It is essentially pulling the plug on your physical motivation to ensure your mental processor doesn't overheat. When you feel that heavy, unmovable resistance to exercise, it is your brain's way of saying, "We need this energy for something bigger." It is time to reframe your laziness as a form of optimization. You aren't avoiding movement because you are less than others. You are prioritizing differently. Your superpower isn't your physical endurance, it is your cognitive efficiency. You are a specialist in a world that often demands we all be generalists. So, What should you do if you still want to stay healthy without the guilt? Stop trying to force yourself into a mold that wasn't built for you. You don't have to be a gym rat to be healthy. Find functional movement that aligns with your brain's logic. A long walk while listening to a complex podcast, gardening while you plan your next project, or simply stretching while you reflect on your day. Movement should be a tool for your mind, not a punishment for your body. The next time you see someone running at dawn and feel that old pang of guilt, take a deep breath and smile. They are using their energy their way, and you are conserving yours for the incredible things only your mind can do. So, which of the three types did you recognize in yourself today? Were you the sensory overwhelmed, the efficiency seeker, or the energy strategist? Let us know in the comments. Remember, you aren't lazy. You are just optimized for a different kind of greatness.